The Canterbury Tales, The Monk's Tale Summary. Harry Bailey is impressed with Dame Prudence's patience. Nothing that his own wife is not a peace-loving person, he then calls on Monk. The monk begins by saying he will tell tragic stories of how those of high status were brought low. Lucifer was the brightest of angels, but he sinned and was sent to hell, where he remains. Adam lived in Eden until he ate of the fruit of the prohibited tree, which caused him to live a life of hard work and misery. Samson was a noble warrior, but his wife convinced him to tell her secret of his strength, his uncut hair, and betrays him to his enemies. Hercules, famous for his many amazing feats of strength, is given a shirt made with poison, which causes his flesh to rot and fall off his bones. The monk continues with the long series of similar stories. Finally, the knight cannot take any more, so he interrupts. The knight prefers stories about men of low estate who go on to great success instead. Harry Bailey agrees and calls on the nun's priest. Analysis. The monk's tale is not one story but many, and all have same lesson. A story that gives an example of moral teaching is known as exemplum. In Chaucer's time, collection of exemplum like this one were common. The monk's goal, as he tells the company, is to tell stories about those who were prosperous but who fell into misery. The protagonists of these stories are represented not as heroes but as victims of fortune. Despite their prosperity, his collection is impressive, beginning with Lucifer, who fell from heaven to hell, and encompassing heroes from the Bible, history, and mythology. Through the sheer tediousness of the monk's tale. In the monk's prologue, he says that he has at least 100 of stories with the same lesson, but night does not even let him get to 20. Once again, through the reaction of the pilgrims, Chaucer comments on what makes good storytelling. Clearly, a collection of half-baked morality tales cannot complete with well-developed narratives. The Canterbury Tales, The Nun's Priest's Tale Summary. A poor widow keeps a few animals, including a rooster named Chanticleer, a fine specimen with a loud crow, and his 7 hens. One dawn, Chanticleer begins to groan as if having a bad dream. When Lady Bertilotte, her favorite hen, asks him what's wrong, he tells her his nightmare. A great beast with glowing red eyes had entered their yard and tried to kill him. Bertilotte tells him that he is coward and that the dream is meaningless. She prescribes some medicinal herbs, but Chanticleer feels that he should pay attention to the dream, pointing out that dreams often have meaning. As support, Chanticleer tells several stories he's read in books. After this discussion, Chanticleer refuses the herbal remedies. The presence of Bertilotte next to him makes him feel better. Later, Chanticleer is outside when he sees a fox in the yard. Startled, Chanticleer prepares to run away, but the fox reassures him that he is friendly and has only come to listen to Chanticleer's beautiful singing. Chanticleer is flattered and begins to sing again when the fox springs on him and carries him off towards the woods. At this, the hens make such an uproar that the widow and her daughters come rushing. They see the fox and race after him, accompanied by all their animals, including a swarm of bees. Chanticleer suggests to the fox that he turn around and shout insults and curses at his pursuers. The fox does this, and Chanticleer takes the opportunity to fly into a tree. The fox then says he didn't mean any harm, so Chanticleer should come down. But Chanticleer now knows that the fox is trying to trick him, so he refuses. At the conclusion of the story, Haribele compliments the nun's priest and turns to another storyteller. Analysis. As a fable, the story is in keeping with other types of stories in the genre, many of which involve a tricky fox and some sort of prey that ultimately gets the better of the fox. The legacy of this storyline can be seen in modern times in cartoon characters such as Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Only a small percentage of lines in this tale actually advances the story. For example, a large number of lines are given to Chanticleer's argument for the importance of dreams. He relates in detail many stories in which dreams and their meanings are significant, such as those from the biblical book of Daniel. Despite his own argument, Chanticleer takes no action based on the dream and is quite surprised when a fox does enter the yard. Chaucer may be poking fun at people who engage in debate for the sake of argument, not for a practical purpose. He may also be mocking the monk whose own tale was nothing but a tedious list of examples. Most fables end with a single lesson or moral. This story does not have just one but several. Chanticleer learns to be wary of tricksters who want you to close your eyes when you should keep them open. The fox learns that he should keep his mouth shut. The nun's priest adds that people should be on guard against flatters and invites listeners to learn from the seemingly silly tale. And if you think my story is absurd, take hold upon the moral gentleman. With these words, the nun's priest suggests his audience might see themselves in both the proud but gullible Chanticleer, the skeptical and disdaining hen, and the tricky and flattering fox. The nun's priest fable meets with great approval by setting the story in a barnyard. The nun's priest seemed to be preparing to tell a simple fable like the monk. The rooster Chanticleer gives a long list of illustrative examples that reveal an astonishing breadth of learning. But unlike the monk, Chanticleer does it in a wildly entertaining way. Chaucer seems to say that this is what learning combined with the true talent for storytelling looks like. The Physician's Tale Summary. The Physician's Tale occurs in different positions in various editions, reflecting uncertainty among scholars about Chaucer's intended arrangement. The tale begins with the prologue. The physician says the tale comes from Livy, the first century Roman historian. A knight of noble birth named Virginius had a beautiful and virtuous daughter, Virginia. One morning, Virginia goes into town with her mother. A judge named Appius sees and desires her, so he hires a man named Claudius to accuse Virginius of stealing his young female servant and raising her as his daughter. The judge immediately rules in favor of Claudius and orders Virginia to be taken from Virginia's home. Virginius, rather than give her over to Judge's lust, kills Virginia and cuts off her head, giving the head to the judge, who orders that the knight be hanged. But knowing Appius is lecherous and Virginius is trustworthy, the men of the town rise up. They throw Appius into jail, send Claudius into exile, and hang anyone else who was involved in the plot. The physician ends by warning the company, forsake your sins before your sins forsake you. Haribele points out that some gifts of fate, such as great beauty, are those that sometimes least befriends us. Then he says he needs someone to tell a more cheerful story and calls on the partner. Some members of the company demand a tale with a moral. The partner says he will think of good tale while he has a drink. Analysis. This tale includes extreme examples of ideas seen throughout the Canterbury Tales. Virginia, the beautiful and obedient young woman, whose virtue is of more importance than her life, is not unlike other passively suffering women in other tales. The corrupt and lecherous judge is similar to other men of high rank who prey on the helpless, and Virginius is an extreme example of noble whose sense of righteousness trumps more sentimental human emotion. The main ethical conflict of the tale provides readers with insight into the attitudes and values of Middle Ages. A daughter at this time was essentially the property of her father until she wed her husband, who would then become both authority and protector. Appius' plan disrupts this order. He does not ask for Virginia's hand in marriage but simply wants her for sex. Going along with Appius' scheme would be disastrous for the aptly named Virginia. Medieval society placed a high value on the chastity of unmarried women. Stories of female saints who committed suicide to avoid rape were popular at that time. In this context, Virginia's solution has a certain logic. Dorigen, the faithful wife of the Franklin's tale, is in a situation very similar to Virginia's, and Dorigen considers suicide as a way to avoid having to commit adultery.